Hello, welcome to a very different episode of Geek On. This is a new stream, a kind of service, that's not a word. It's a new take on the Geek On idea where I've been able to go to Comic Cons and film events, and basically we were allowed the simple days of when we were allowed to go outside our own front door, and I would interview cosplayers and filmmakers and organisers and whatever. However, thanks to the coronavirus, we are isolated, we are quarantined, we're locked down. So instead, we are doing a series of Skype style Zoom vlogs to keep you guys entertained and so I can meet and chat with more creators, a mixture of friends and some new people. So welcome to Geek On with Stuart Bannerman, aka From Page to Screen. Hello, Stuart.
Hello, that was a very
Hello.
book, I think, and I normally just go, I speak to the guests and then forget to introduce them by name. Quite often, I do that, so I need to work on that.
It's a preamble, and I will put up some pictures of our time together if I can find them throughout this because
Oh no!
because we're not off. I think I've still got a few on my phone. Because my very first episode of Geek On with, as I've decided to call it, was with Barry Stanton, aka the instructor, and that episode's online now, and that was done via video. But this is different because we're doing it via just voice and voice alone. So
That's my fault because I don't have the webcam set up.
do
So
you have?
I would take that one on the chin. It's my fault.
No, I like it. It's different, and as I said, it gives me the opportunity to share photos of our time together. So that'll be quite nice for me. Back to where it all began. Stuart, will you please just sort of let the audience know who you are, what you do?
Oh
Who
God,
is
what do I do? I was near enough born a film fan, 26 miles north of Edinburgh, went to the cinema on my own constantly from like the age of 7 upwards, loved the movies. Was a bit of a hermit. This isolation thing, it's no big thing for me because I always used to just stay indoors and watch movies on the old plastic VHS cassettes anyway. I then decided to how did I decide? I don't know what came first, the Twitter account, the podcast. I think the podcast and the Twitter came around the same time, and it's because I wanted to do a 6 episode series on lots of funny movie stories and stuff people I've met over the years. Figured 6 episodes was enough. I'd get everything out of my system, and that didn't work because I slowly realized that I wasn't going to not do any more fun geek things. I was going to keep doing them, and then it would get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then I would end up being a publicist, unpaid. Yeah, you're welcome to the unpaid indie market. And but I would do it for the love of geekness and get lots of geek points. I would go to events, some big, some small. I would meet lots of silly famous people who would give me the time of day. I would start a podcast. I would then branch into making my own films. I planned none of it, and I've just kind of ended up here. But I'm all right with that.
So it's my understanding that so when I met you, we
Yeah.
just we, not you and I, but I as a filmmaker and my team, we just started to make Cops and Monsters, and we had but one episode under our belt.
Yes.
The pilot, which kind of got the attention of the world, and I think it was our actress in the pilot, Sarah Louise Madison, who I think did she reach out to you first?
No, this was Twitter, so thank you Twitter and thank you Sarah. I'd seen Sarah in a couple of movies. I'd seen her Twitter bio. It mentioned Doctor Who. I'm like, wow, you're a famous person. I'm going to say hi to you. My God, she said hi back. And so Sarah and I started tweeting, and then I think you and her obviously were crossing tweets because of Cops and Monsters. So then I kind of ended up in your slipstream, and then we became friends from there and been friends ever since. So I do apologize for that phrasing.
No, we're very, very, very grateful.
Yes,
Because you took Cops and Monsters under your publicist mantle,
I did.
and when we were just getting started, and you were unequivocally the person that we needed. You helped build our Twitter campaign. You got us the majority of the followers that we have. if not all of them. Although some of them are dead links now, 4 or 5 years later. And you dealt with the trolls.
You gotta love the trolls.
Gotta
You
love
don't
them.
you don't have to, but it's one of them things you just gotta say, and you gotta love them. You don't really have to love them.
Surprisingly, in these days of isolation, where we are all even more so glued to our screens and our phones and social media, not as many trolls. So we were in need of a so you were doing your thing, you were publicising Cops and Monsters. I think at that stage you'd taken over the Cops and Monsters Twitter. You were doing Arc was for us. You were being brilliant and making sure people who we couldn't reach, you were reaching. And then we were asked to go to, I think they asked us, MCon. Do you remember when MCon was just a little one-day event in Nottingham? Do you remember?
I remember pretty much everything about MCon, because that is one of the hallmarks, foundations, whatever, of everything that I ended up becoming was because of me and you doing that podcast, if you remember that familiar one. Where I have had so much mileage out of this story, but I'll tell it again for those who haven't listened to it. Please I was doing a podcast with you, and I said, "Oh, by the way, who's doing your hosting for your Q&A panel?" And you went, "How would you like to do it?" And I went, "Yes, I'd love to." And then after the show, I'm thinking, what have I done? I do not do public. I don't do public speaking. Well, I do now, but I did not do public speaking at all. I was the person, and if you put me in a party, I'd find a kitchen, I'd find a corner, and I would chat to like 2 or 3 people. I thought, no way ever would I get up in front of a stage and talk to people. No, never happening with a microphone in my hand. But I'd already said yes to you, so I'm like, kind of got to do it now. How am I going to do it? I'm either going to do a good job at it, or I'm going to get on stage and collapse. But if you can't collapse on stage, because people you're gonna go viral. I don't want to go viral as somebody who clammed up on stage. So the scariest moment for me was when you said, "Right, we're ready to start now," and it was from there to picking up the microphone, and that was it. And I was just off like a rocket. And then since then, I've done 26 Q&A panels.
Everybody enjoy it? Yeah? Everybody enjoy it? One more time? Keep straight to that, please, so if anybody's got any questions about Cops and Monsters, or any questions for any of these guys, just stick your hand up or run up here. I'll hand you the microphone. Please don't sing, because I have rumors that somebody's going to sing before the day's out. Yeah, in your mind. So yeah, just stick your hand up if you've got any questions. Otherwise, I'll just fill the gaps and keep walking.
I think it was just like 2 for Cops and Monsters, wasn't it?
So you did.
No, three. Sorry, I did Wales, London.
Oh, Wales.
We did the XL, which is now a hospital.
I feel really bad that I forgot Wales. I remember MCon, because that was the first one that we did for Cops and Monsters. Cops and Monsters was the first one that kind of went UK wide, and we needed you. Because we wouldn't have we were just in unknown territory when we went to MCon. It was all.
So was I.
It was but I remember when we got there. So I think we drove down even from Scotland to Nottingham on the day. Yeah, and we left at the crack of dawn, and we left in 2 cars. We convoyed, and we got there, and there was a giant queue outside. Do you remember?
Josh, I was stuck in it. It was yourself that got me out of that queue. Because I phoned you up, and I'm like, I'm stuck in this queue. I cannot get in. And then I ended up speaking to one of the staff and going, right, seriously, I'm hosting one of the panels. You need to let me in, and pulled a bit of an ego thing and managed to get in.
And we ended up trending on Twitter that day. The one and only time we have trended was because people outside in the queue were tweeting that they couldn't get in for our panel. And it was a very nice feeling to be trending, but for all the wrong reasons, because most people couldn't get in to see us. But you did a brilliant job. You wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have known. I believe you got it filmed, and you've got it somewhere.
It's very, very low grade quality. There was literally most of the panel, I think, was filmed by somebody on a very low resolution camera. And that's one of the sad things that my first ever panel, and that one particular, because I have a fondness for the MCOM one, was never filmed in a better resolution.
I think we've got Mark Harvey, who was in the cast of the pilot, singing as Bane.
Yes.
That annoyingly has survived, but not our actual panel proper.
I think some of it is. I think if you look on the From Page to Screen YouTube channel, I think some of it is pretty much everything I've got is on there somewhere.
And then we went to London, we went to MCM, which I think the majority of the Comic-Con going public in the UK consider that to be their San Diego. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, whenever anybody says to me, I've never been to one of these events, I always recommend the London Comic-Cons. Now a hospital.
So yes, so we went. There'll be a time when we listen to this back years later, and it'll be like, oh my god, remember when that was a hospital? Remember when Wicked Squad died? But we went from an audience of what, say 30 to 40, and some of them in that crowd still follow Cops and Monsters to this day. To MCM, and can you describe your feeling and your kind of initial reactions when me, you, and the cast and crew, some of them anyway, walked into the panel area, Stuart, for MCM?
My eyes kind of went a bit Pixar wide, going, there's more people here than A, I thought, and B, why, what's going on? Is this the previous panel that's overrun? Because they're going to be, this lot are going to be sorely disappointed when I start talking again with no notes. And I do remember Sarah Madison saying to me just before we got on stage, so what are you going to ask me? And I went, I have no idea. And she looked just this look of panic upon her face. But I'm pretty sure if I'd have asked her afterwards, were you okay? She'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. But people do tend to panic if you go, I've got a clue what I'm going to say to you. I'm just going to see what comes out. But I've done enough of these things. And by that, I mean talking and podcasts and stuff, not panels. That was my second one, to know how to keep talking until something good comes out.
Yeah, MCM for all of us was huge. And not that many people left. And I remember we did a competition, didn't we? The person who asked the best question got a prize.
Lad won it, didn't he?
Yeah, I remember a young lad winning it, and he ran up to the stage and got it off us, and I think he was more excited to see Sarah than he was about anyone else.
Possibly.
Fair enough.
Understandable, well, not necessarily understandably, but Sarah's great.
Sarah is lovely. She won't be listening, It's fine. So we went from there to
Wales. I don't know where you went, but then I went to Wales, so I don't know whether you did any in between, like Glasgow or whatever.
Tell us about experiencing Comic-Con. Where did that idea come from?
Where did it come from? It came from me finding a big pile of bits around my house going, oh, I could maybe make a film out of this. And that's a true story. I was many Comic-Cons I'd attended before. So I'd attended MCon. I'd been to loads of Comic-Cons dating far back as like 2002. So I've met quite a lot of people over the years. I tended to take a still camera, take pictures. Then I progressed to maybe I should get a selfie. Maybe I should be in the picture. So I started doing those. But it was mainly when I got the gig hosting all the Q&A panels in Wales. And I thought, you know what would be really cool is if I could make this film called Experiencing Comic-Con, and it's about my day hosting all these Q&A panels at this one event in Wales. So I cleared it with Rob. Rob was the organizer of the Sci-Fi Wales thing. I went down probably about 3 weeks before the event, watching him organize it all, helping him organize it all, increasing his Twitter account. That seems to be a common thread in one of my talents. And, basically getting all the clearance that I could film whatever I wanted on that day. So I'm like, I'm going to get a 90-minute film of this, and it's going to have such an amazing cast in it. Cops and Monsters is going to be in there. Red Dwarf's going to be in there. Tabitha Lyons is going to be in there. You can Google her if you want to see who she is. The Star Wars people will be in there. Nick Cotton from East End. It'd be great. Cheap film, not costing me anything whatsoever. So I crowdfunded to raise money to buy camera equipment. Bought two little Sony Handycams, some wireless mics, a tripod, and an audio recorder, and all this faff. I think I spent just short of £1,000 on equipment. Most of it, which I actually still have. And so I got Bob, who's a friend of mine. Right, well, I'm going to be on stage. I'll have one camera in my hand. You can have the other one. You can film. But I realized that being on stage and filming whilst you're talking to people in front of an audience wasn't easy. So my camera kind of went to one side. I'm like, right, Bob, you film everything. But he didn't. He went for lunch. and he wandered off and he went to see the events and he went to see Desi's Ghostbusters show, all this sort of stuff. And I'm like,
I remember how angry you were.
Bob, where were you? Oh, I went for lunch. I'm like, but you've been gone like 2 hours. Yeah, we had ice cream. I'm like, but none of this has been filmed. Well, I got most of it. I got the early stuff. I'm like, what's the matter with you? But luckily, the professional photographers had filmed everything in silly high K res, and I managed to organise with Rob that I get copies of this footage, and it took ages to file transfer back to my end because it was gigs and gigs and gigs of this stuff. So I thought, well, there's not really enough for me to turn it into a film. What do I do? Well, I guess I'll go to a few more Comic-Cons. So I'll turn it into different Comic-Cons. So the Wales one will be me as a panel host. I've got press access for this next one in London, so I could do press. And I'll go to this other one as public. And there you go. So I started making this film together. And I thought, I don't know how to end it. So this thing was already being edited. And I maybe had like 45, 50 minutes worth of footage. And like, I have no ending. I didn't realize I didn't have an ending. How do I end a film called Experience in Comic-Con? I'd love to go to San Diego Comic-Con because that would be like the ultimate one. And then it got it into my head, right, I'm going to try and film the sort of third act at the biggest Comic-Con on the planet, which was San Diego Comic-Con. So that's where the sort of genesis of the film came around.
So obviously Comic-Con, the epitome of Comic-Con, Nerdvana.
Yes.
However, more and more people say these days that you don't want to do San Diego Comic-Con because it's more of a shopping, it's more about traders than it is. But most people recommend New York Comic-Con, so maybe that should be a sequel, Experiencing New York Comic-Con.
I've thought about doing a sequel, so you never know.
I think you should. But I remember you telling me at the time that your plan was to get out to San Diego, and I was like, good luck, because that's the dream. But you have to get tickets to go to San Diego Comic-Con, right?
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy. What you do is you register to get yourself a little member ID. So I thought, well, me and Annette are going, so I'll do one of each. I'm easy. I've got a website. I've got podcasts. I can just go blah blah blah. I've got press access. It's fine. So I thought, right, that's sorted. And then what they do is you are told when the virtual waiting room is open. Mm-hmm. So, and you could be in there for like up to an hour. It's crazy. So I'm like, I'm all right. It's an hour. It's fine. And this is probably like May, so before the July. So it's a couple of months. But as you know, when you're booking hotels and flights, prices tend to go up.
Yeah.
So I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to book the flights. So I booked the flights and hotel in November. And I thought, well, all I need to do is get the tickets. That'll be fine. Easy enough, because, don't they know who I am? It's not a problem. I can mention that I'm filming the third part of Experiencing Comic-Con. It'll be a piece of cake. No, I didn't get tickets. And I spoke to you the other day and I said, I actually have all the video footage of me trying to buy the tickets. And I might even try and do that tomorrow, put that online. But it is one of the most stressful, heartbreaking processes that you can ever go through, especially when you've spent just short of $2,000 on flights and a hotel, and none of that's refundable. So I didn't get tickets. And I remember the last thing of the video I said was, I guess I'm not going to San Diego because what are you going to do? You're going to go there anyway and just stand outside the building and go, I wish I could get in.
Now, with Sci-Fi Wales the movie being a very distant memory, I had no idea where to finish this film, but I had enough footage that I knew I had to make something with it. Where the hell do you finish a film called Experiencing Comic-Con? Well, there is an answer to that. It's not a cheap one, but it's the best answer possible.
But I was so devastated. But then a few days after, I think I'd messaged San Diego people saying, look, I've spent all this money. I'm from the UK. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I was one step away from begging and pleading and selling them a kidney type thing. And she said, look, well, you've got your press access. You're fine. So I'm like, brilliant. What about Annette's? She went, well, you've not applied for her. I went, no, I put her name on the comments on mine saying +1. And they went, no, you need to have done a separate one for her. So I'm thinking, great, now I'm going to San Diego Comic-Con with my better half. And then she's not going to be able to go anywhere because I'm going to be like, well, I'll see you in about 9 hours. I'm off to the biggest geek event in the world. You can stay here in the hotel and do whatever you want. Bye. No, that doesn't. I would get killed. She would murder me. But luckily, somebody who was doing one of the Q&A panels there, and I don't want to name check him because he may get into trouble for doing it, but bless him, he messaged me and he said, what's your partner's email address and full name, please? So I thought, well, A, that's kind of creepy because I don't know why you're asking that, but B, what the heck? I'll tell you. I don't care.
Thank
so
you,
I did.
man.
And then she got an email through saying, here is your pass. You are now one of the, I can't remember what, not a panel host, but she was going to be sitting on this panel, but she obviously wasn't going to be, but he'd put her down as a +1. And so, yeah, we ended up going to San Diego Comic-Con and I shot the film. So my first ever movie has a Stan Lee cameo in it, which is not bad going. I'm all right with that.
Cool. R.I.P. Stan. R.I.P.
Yes.
Stan. We love you, Stan. So you get out to Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, you film the rest of your documentary, which, in my opinion, is the highlight of the film. The whole piece kind of shifts gear when you get out there. But maybe that's because I'm so used to the British Comic-Con. Like, in comparison, the British Comic-Con compared to the San Diego Comic-Con, it's kind of grey and monotone.
You go to generally the British ones, you're like, here's Stormtrooper number 12 from The Empire Strikes Back. And it's still kind of cool, but you go, all right. Or here's somebody who was in a Doctor Who episode in 1976. You go, that's kind of cool as well. But then you go out to San Diego Comic-Con and you get stuck in a crowd. You're like, why am I bottlenecked in this crowd? What's going on? You hold your camera up so you can see who's about 3 feet away from you. And it's Stan Lee. You're like, now I know why San Diego Comic-Con is what it is.
Is it Hall C?
Hall H.
Hall H, sorry. Don't know where C came up. It's not A, it's not B. Let's go for C.
Nope.
Hall H,
Yep.
Their big hall where they put all the big movies and Doctor Who and everything else. Where you literally have to queue up the night before for a ticket, which might get you into Hall H. Was that something you tried to do?
I got straight into Hall H, and there was one of the important things if you ever go to San Diego Comic-Con.
I've had comments switched on these videos at this point. People would be seriously.
It was. I think it depends who's on in Hall H. I think, but one of the things I would recommend going to any big Comic-Con, in fact any Comic-Con, is have a list of the things you really want to do. Make a short list. I think maybe 3-4 different things. I wanted to meet up with filmmaker Neil Johnson, who I did. I really wanted to see Oliver Stone because he was doing his panel on Snowden, because I'm a massive Oliver Stone fan. And I had a breakfast meeting with the entire cast of The Walking Dead, which none of that's in Experience in Comic-Con because technically that was outside of it. But
there are photos of you in there, aren't there? I'm sure.
The full videos on my YouTube thing.
Right, okay.
There's 14 primary cast members of The Walking Dead. I was literally 2 feet away from the beginning of the row, and I spoke to Andrew Lincoln, and I ended up meeting Philip Glenister because he was there doing the Outcast panel and stuff. But see Oliver Stone, and I said to Annette, I said, I really, really want to do this Oliver Stone thing. This is my nirvana for today. I'm going to do it. And we joined the queue. The queue went in straight into Hall H. We were there 2 or 3 panels before. So, don't show up for that one panel. You show up at the beginning of the day, go in, spend the day in the panel. There's bathrooms in there. You can get a little bit of food in there so you don't have to, wet yourself. But Alec Baldwin was there.
Wow.
Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
So what were you going to say there?
You camp in Hall H for the day.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you block that time out. Anna Kendrick, Justin Timberlake, Oliver Stone, Zach, what's his name from Star Trek? Zachary Quinto was there.
Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and you were just sitting there and all just parading out, having a chat and this, that, and the other. So I was like, wow, I'm literally 50 feet away from Oliver Stone. I'm very, very happy. And so that was my Hall H experience. It was great.
So you come back to dreary old England, Britain.
Hey, horrible.
After
holiday blues times 100.
After the sunshine of San
Diego.
San Diego. Yeah, I was like, come on, Brain. It's the isolation brain has kicked in. And I've been doing online, not that I'm being sponsored, but Skill Sets UK, which is a kind of website and resources for people who work in TV and film, have set up a series of seminars over the next few weeks with industry professionals where literally you sign up for a ticket. They are ticketed but they're free, but they are limited in numbers. And basically all these industry professionals, whether it be in factual or scripted or drama or comedy, sit for an hour on Zoom and talk about their career, and you've got a little chat window and you can ask any question you want. It is the most easy access to the people that you never get a chance to normally to speak about and get advice on your career. So I've been doing that all day. I feel like I've been at work. I rolled out of bed, walked a foot and a half, sat down, put my headphones in, and I've been in seminars all day. So my brain's a little bit mumbled. Yeah. So you come home and you've got all the footage. What do you do next?
I took this advice from a filmmaker, and he said just sit on the footage for a while. Just don't feel the need to go, right, I've unpacked my suitcase, let's start editing. So I sat on that for probably a month or two, sketched out on paper how I was going to put this thing together, and then started to assemble what I call a work print or a rough cut. And the first one I think came in at 4.5 hours, which I knew I was never going to release. I'm like, for me it's great, but it had like all of the Oliver Stone panel in it. For me, it was amazing. It's like, why would I can't cut Oliver Stone out of my film? But then I realized, you know what? Maybe people aren't an Oliver Stone fan, so maybe they don't want to watch 50 minutes of him talking about Snowden, or they didn't really need to see every single panel from Sci-Fi Wales 1. So I started to trim it down, and I had no idea how to edit. I knew how to cut clips together, but I certainly didn't know how to build an audio mix or anything like that. And anybody who's seen the film might go, yeah, I kind of twigged that from watching it. But I love that film. It was a cool experience. And people look at it and go, oh, you did really well. You must put a lot of planning into that. I'm like, nope, no planning whatsoever. I literally had half the footage already filmed from previous Comic-Cons, and then decided to tailor it into something. And the only real planning was the San Diego part, because even the Wales stuff wasn't what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a whole film about me in Wales, and I think at some point you see me talking to the camera for the Wales sections, and that was my plan, but that quickly got thrown out the window when my cameraman kept going for lunch and having ice cream and chasing women.
Yes, if I wasn't at my own table, I would have come up and manned the camera for you.
Yes.
But before you started, I think it was maybe just before you started doing Experience and Comic-Con, you were kind of releasing the occasional vlog at various Comic-Cons, I think.
Yeah, I think I was actually. I did a little one in Birmingham.
Yeah,
which is maybe 10 minutes long, which I think that has now been incorporated into Experience at Comic-Con.
I've got distinct memories of you and Annette walking down a path.
Yes, and then Bob was there, and it was at that Comic-Con I met Lawrence Harvey from the Human Centipede 2. Yes. I had a quick chat with Emma Dark.
Yes.
Yeah. I bumped into Andrew Lee Potts again. I had this thing where I just kept bumping into him at every... I don't bother bumping into him now. I'm like, yeah, kind of said everything I need to, but to him...
Everybody's bumped into Andrew Lee Potts.
Pretty much. I mean, he was super cool at London one, because I went over and I'm like, do you want me to film your wireless panel for you? He went, yes, if you would. So I'm like, for me, it was all experience about how to use a camera. And anybody who's like, why are you filming? Because that guy on stage said I can't, all right, and they'd leave. So
like, absolute fair play to Andrew for creating his own web series, wireless, because I think he, like most of us, we go, we're going to make a web series. It'll be easy. I think he realised that it's not easy to maintain the content or the quality or the delivery of getting that out. I think he experienced that quite quickly, because I think there was a bit of a gap between episodes for him as well.
Yeah, it was.
But absolute fair play. But yeah, okay, so you edit Experience and Comic-Con down to how long? From your 4.5?
From 4.5 hours to 1 hour 51 or 1 hour 52 or something, I think it is.
And then what did you do with it?
Slapped it on YouTube. That's how.
I mean, that's fair, because it's the easiest way.
Yeah, it's not smart at all, and I wouldn't have done that now.
Okay. Why not?
My logic back then was, I filmed it, I've had fun doing it, it's been great. I'd like people to watch it. It's great. Let everybody see it. Put it on YouTube. fine, done. I didn't even think that people would pay money for. I mean, the rights issue would have been a nightmare because the cast is insane. There's a lot of famous people in that, and I didn't have any permissions, any paperwork, nothing. I literally just. I remember walking up to Robert Llewellyn and just filming him, and he was like, "Oh, a camera, that's still in," and he was cool with it. He was fine, but it was not professional at all. But I got away with it because of all the other stuff I do, all the tweeting and stuff I do for everybody else. So for me, it was easier just putting it on YouTube and just there it still sits. So
I just feel like we could easily talk about all of your things for an hour per time, but I like your story from going from I'm a guy who enjoys British films, I'm going to watch a lot of them, and then I'm going to speak to the people who make them, or you're going to, you ended up reviewing them and being the publicist, and you got your name on quite a lot of posters as well.
I did. It's amazing. It's few geek points, isn't it? It's like, wow.
I know you stopped at one point because people started to take the piss a bit.
Stop what?
With you doing reviews for them.
Yes, on the odd occasion, there was a couple of people where I'm like, right, I'm not reviewing you, because there was a couple of instances where people put my name on a poster, and I'm like, I haven't even seen your film. What's the matter with you? So a couple of, but minimal, which is not too bad.
But I love that you went from that to doing the experience in Comic-Con to now being a filmmaker. Like,
yes,
not that the documentary obviously makes you a filmmaker, but it's a different area going from.
It's not a narrative film, is it? And that's what I always say. The experience at Comic-Con is me going to events with pointing a camera in somebody's face. That's not filmmaking. Whereas
I've done the reverse, where I've spent 10 years of my life making short films and web series and a feature, to now picking up a camera and going around speaking to people. It wasn't because it's so much easier than making a film. And I just feel your experience with Mimi is something I want to get into properly, and I don't want to squeeze it into 10 minutes. That's not fair. So with your permission,
yes,
we'll wrap it up for part 1. Ooh, I have a 2-parter. Ooh, I like this. So at some point during our isolation, we'll pick up on part 2.
Definitely.
And we shall, and then we'll talk to you properly about Mimi, because there's so much I want to chat to you about Mimi, because it's exciting from my point of view, because I've been doing it for so long, and you're kind of relatively new to making film in that regard. I just want to hear it from fresh eyes. I want to see what you saw. I want to see what you saw, Stuart. I want to remember what it was like to be unfazed and to be wonderful and dreaming about the whole beautiful thing. So I think that's the second part. So for now, Stuart Bannerman, thank you so much for being my second guest on Geek On with Stuart Bannerman. It has been a pleasure. I cannot wait to delve into hearing more about Mimi and all about that. I hope those who have been listening / watching have enjoyed what they've seen / heard. And it's in the not so distant future, we will revisit with Stuart, and we will chat to him about Mimi, which was a short film that turned into a trilogy somehow.
It did indeed. Yeah.
But we shall chat all about that next time. But for now, Stuart, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Fraser.
It's been weird flipping it on its head.
It is. It's weird for me as well, because I'm so used to, going, right, what am I going to say, to, I don't know what they're going to ask me. So it's kind of cool, but it's kind of weird.
It's good.
Good. Yeah, it's good.
Thank you very much. Thanks for listening, guys. Really appreciate it. Stay safe. Be kind. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Don't be an idiot. Stop buying toilet roll. It won't save your life. And we shall see you for the next Geek On. Thank you very much.